When the custodial staff unlocked room 217 that Tuesday morning, they expected chairs appended, maybe a stray textbook or a spilled coffee. Instead, they discovered something that would change everything. It began like any ordinary high school day in the quiet town of Crestwood, California. For most of the world, mornings in Crestwood High were predictable. Students scurrying down hallways, lockers slamming, the intercom crackling with announcements. But for 17-year-old Madison Price, that day held a secret no one could have foreseen. Madison had grown up in Crestwood, a town nestled in the hills just outside Los Angeles, a place where people still nodded to neighbors and errands ended with a wave goodbye. She was the kind of girl who smiled easily, who'd stay late for her drama rehearsal even after the last bell, the kind of person others described as dependable, courteous, quietly bright. To her parents, Mark and Elaine Price, she was a dream come true, thoughtful, ambitious, humble. They never imagined that on that day in November, she would be left alone in that school building and that someone would quietly press record. It was November 14th, 2022, early afternoon when Madison returned to the school library after lunch. The hallways were mostly empty between classes. Students had dashed outside or to the cafeteria. She placed her backpack on a chair near the row of computers, set down her phone, and began working on a research project. She'd chosen to stay behind for extra help. But the building had gone silent. In the library windows, the late autumn light slanted across dusty shelves, and somewhere a janitor's cart rolled down a far corridor. She was entirely alone. Or so she thought. 2 hours later, the librarian closed up, locked the outer doors, and headed home. The library lights blinked off one by one, and Madison's figure sat framed by the glow from her screen. Outside the windows, the sky turned soft gray. Somewhere in the background, an unnoticed camera on the ceiling quietly recorded. When the subsequent investigation revealed the footage, it showed Madison rising, stretching, glancing once toward the blank corridor, a tiny movement, almost casual. Then a figure appeared in the background, hunched in a shadow by the far door. That figure moved silently, stepping toward her. Madison looked up but didn't move. And then, the screen goes black. Police were called the next morning when the school principal found Madison's laptop abandoned on the library desk. Her backpack was still there, but she was gone. The desk lamp was on. The computer screen displayed a half-typed sentence. And the second witness will attest that. And then nothing. No login screen, no cursor blinking. The school CCTV had recorded only a small portion of the sequence, and the door in that library corridor had its sensor disabled, or so investigators later learned. A full missing persons investigation was launched by the Crestwood Police Department, CPD. Her parents were notified late that evening. The world for them, the Price family, shifted in an instant from ordinary comfort to wrenching uncertainty. Local news crews descended on Crestwood High, the growing hush in the town deepening into concern. Editors ran headlines, "Teen disappears from empty school building." Neighbors posted flyers. Social media lit up with questions. Where's Madison Price? Why was she alone? With each passing hour, the atmosphere in the town shifted from calm to unsettled, a sense that something was very, very wrong. Investigators combed through sign-in logs, student schedules, library reservation sheets. Nothing explained how Madison had remained in that building unaccompanied when staff had already closed lockdown procedures soon after dismissal time. Superintendent memo after memo revealed the school's standard closing protocol: a sweep of classrooms, a lockout of external doors, a final staff check. Yet someone or something had bypassed it. In the early days, the trail grew cold quickly. No witnesses reported seeing Madison leave the building. No car was recorded on the security cameras leaving the parking lot at that time. The audio from the library mic system recorded only the whir of computers and a distant HVAC hum. Then, 3 days into the disappearance, a casual post on Reddit by a Crestwood High student named Late Study 89 noted that the library door had seemed ajar the day after Madison vanished, but school officials dismissed the remark as speculation. Then came the discovery: the hidden camera. A routine security audit uncovered an old surveillance device in the ceiling above room 217-1 that hadn't been logged in the system. When engineers retrieved the footage, they found short clips, low resolution, but with a timestamp. That afternoon, 15:47. In the footage, Madison sat at her desk. Then a faint figure slipped into the frame behind her. The figure leaned forward, reached down. Madison glanced up. A moment of stillness. Then darkness. End of clip. The rest of the file is encrypted. For the investigators at CPD, this changed everything. The missing persons case became a potential abduction or worse. They brought in forensic video analysts, traced the firmware on the camera, discovered it had been active for weeks but unmonitored, no alert. No one had flagged it. The camera feed had been manually overwritten, then hidden from the network logs. Meanwhile, Madison's parents grew desperate. They held press conferences. They posted emotional pleas. Mock spoke in a low voice. "She's smart. She knows the world. If someone's hurt her, we need her home." Elaine, behind him, clasped a photo of Madison at her high school graduation rehearsal, cap in hand, laughter in her eyes. The town responded. Candlelight vigils were held outside the school gates. The halls that once echoed with laughter now reverberated with whispers. What happened? Who is responsible? Could it have been someone inside? Investigators discovered that the CCTV system had shown a cleaning crew entering the building that afternoon of a contractor from a company called Clearview Cleaning Services, scheduled to perform evening maintenance in the library. They spoke to the crew. No one reported anything unusual. Logs showed 2 technicians arrived at 3:30 p.m., left at 5:10 p.m. The devices. Timestamp put the critical moment at 3:47 p.m., which aligned. The cleaning crew were considered persons of interest, but each claimed they left immediately after finishing. No one noticed Madison at her desk at the time. Strangely, the library door was found locked only after the building was secured for the night. Yet no alarms triggered the moment the outer doors shut. For weeks, the investigation stalled. The video footage was too grainy. There were no clear images of the face of the intruder, no audio. School officials refused to answer detailed questions, citing student privacy laws. The Price family felt the pressure of silence, waiting, hoping. Then the breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A former IT technician for the school district, dismissed 6 months earlier for policy violations, reached out to detectives. He claimed he had uncovered irregularities in the school's network, ports that were open despite policy, devices that weren't accounted for. He told the detectives about the ghost device, the unregistered ceiling camera above room 217, its feed rerouted to an external drive. He explained that whoever had installed it had used the cleaning crew time slot to access wiring closets, calibrate the device, and cover the installation. That one revelation opened the possibility that this was not random, but pre-planned. When detectives dug into contractor logs, they discovered that the cleaning company subcontracted an individual, and that individual had been in the building at exactly the same time as Madison's disappearance and, importantly, he had keys. The man, whose name we will call John Doe in this telling of pending legal restrictions, had been cleared initially due to lack of evidence. But the network logs revealed that his badge had been used to enter the building 1 hour before the school closed, and then again 30 minutes after the last student had gone home. The badge access logs and CCTV did not show him in the library, but his vehicle's GPS pinged near the school parking lots during that time frame. Investigators placed a subpoena on the vehicle's GPS records and discovered that Doe had driven away 2 hours after the cleaning crew finished, but no one questioned why. Parallel to that, the forensic experts on the hidden camera footage discovered that a second camera not part of the school's recorded system had been placed in a lower corner of the room. The first camera captured the broad view. The second, hidden behind a shelf, caught a clearer shot of Madison's desk from a lower angle, though the file was heavily degraded. Analysts applied image enhancement software and managed to pull a still, a shape hunched over the desk next to Madison. No face, but a tie clip, a lapel badge, something metal glinting faintly under the overhead lights. That small detail would later become pivotal. The school district's lawyer claimed no knowledge of the device. The school superintendent said the building protocols were routine and had been followed. But why did the cleaning contractor allow someone to remain in the building after hours? Why are the outer sensors deactivated? The more the investigators dug, the murkier the institution looked. Meanwhile, the Price family refused to sit back. They hired a private investigator who combed through social media posts of Madison's friends, searched her bank activity, which halted after the disappearance, and tracked her phone pings. All they found was her phone connecting to a cell tower near the school until 5:02 p.m., then nothing. The phone never connected again. Media coverage pushed the narrative, probing the dark secret of Crestwood High. Was it someone inside the walls? Teenage gossip turned grave. Students whispered that Madison had been working on a story for their school newspaper about artificial intelligence cameras and building surveillance, though no one could confirm. One friend later told police in a second interview, "Maddie said she'd found something weird in the camera room, but I thought she was overthinking it." The friend's phone later disappeared during the summer. The case was rattling the community. Weeks passed. The weather turned cold. The vigil candles outside the school melted. The courses resumed. Students returned, but the absence of Madison loomed like a ghost. Investigators placed her case on national missing teen databases. Reward posters were printed, but still, no sign of her. Then the twist came. The metal badge spotted in the enhancing footage matched the badge issued to one of Crestwood High's science teachers. Let's call him Mr. W. At first, the connection seemed absurd. Why would a teacher install hidden cameras and linger after hours? But the investigators, cross-referencing cleaning logs and badge access, discovered that Mr. W's badge had been used to sign into the building at 3:05 p.m. that day, even though his class left at 2:45. His laptop was found in his car later that week, parked in the same lot. The IT records showed a spike in his login time. At 4:12 p.m., his account accessed a server folder labeled Video Archive Deck 2019, NOV 2022. A folder that had supposedly nothing to do with his duties. The investigators confiscated his devices, and what they found stunned them. Encrypted drives, footage from school zones, camera architecture diagrams, and notations about blind spots, library ceiling, after-hours access, that matched the hidden camera installation. Mr. W was confronted and initially denied everything. Then the private investigator working for the Price family found an old photograph. Mr. W standing beside a security camera supplier's booth at a trade show in Las Vegas in early 2021. The supplier was a company called Secure Vision Systems, barred later from public contracting due to privacy violations. Mr. W's badge image had the Secure Vision hologram inside. The dealer had no direct connection to the school, but had sold cameras to private clients. Why was a school teacher investing in surveillance equipment? The pieces aligned. He had motive, the covert cameras, means access to school infrastructure, and opportunity, the cleaning crew time frame. But when detectives returned to Mr. W's house to execute a search warrant, they found no sign of Madison. What they did find, however, changed the entire case. A notebook belonging to Madison marked Project Surveillance Truth, hidden beneath a false floorboard in Mr. W's workshop building. Inside, Madison had documented strange patterns. Missing hours in the library logbook, unexplained entries in cleaning company invoices, and a timeline of camera installations she discovered. She had concluded, someone is watching. When confronted with the notebook, Mr. W broke. In his confession, he revealed he had become obsessed with monitoring student behavior after a prior incident in 2020 involving an unreported assault in the library. He claimed he installed the cameras for protection, but admitted that on the day Madison vanished he confronted her in the library after discovering she was reviewing his footage. He said he panicked. He refused to say what happened next. He guided officers to a shallow borehole just outside the backside of the school building. A hole 8 feet deep. Empty. In the aftermath, Mr. W was arrested and charged with kidnapping, illegal surveillance, and obstruction of justice. The community exhaled. The Price family pursued civil lawsuits. The school district announced reforms. Security camera audits. Staff retraining. But even as the arrests were made, the central question remained unanswered. Where is Madison? For the town of Crestwood, the wake of this case changed everything. Students walk the halls looking over their shoulders. Parents ask new questions. Libraries install motion sensors. Hidden cameras scare the overnight shifts. The trust of a community fractured. The Price family never reclaimed the innocency of their former life. They continued to hope for Madison every single day. Some stories end with justice. Others end with silence. The case of Madison Price ended with neither. The hole in the ground outside the school remains empty. The hidden cameras are gone, yet the eyes they recorded with still linger in memory. The truth had been there all along, in the one place no one thought to look. If this story shook you, make sure to subscribe to Cold Case Secrets, where we uncover the truth behind the world's darkest mysteries. But the story doesn't end here. During the trial of Mr. W, forensic analysts discovered one final clue. A memory card wiped clean, found in the cleaning crew locker, labeled only 217B. Forensic firms tell investigators, once it's wiped, it's nearly impossible to recover. But in this case, the chip was sent to a secure lab, deep freeze archive, and they reported that beneath the erased data sat a fragment. A timestamp, August 12, 2021, 23:49. That was not the night of the disappearance. It was the night before the day Madison enrolled at Crestwood High. Who had installed that camera then? And what was it recording? The hole outside the school, the folder in Mr. W's folder, the blank stares of students in the hallways, they all point to something far bigger than one missing girl. Something hidden within the institution. Something still underneath the floorboards. The investigation reopened. Stay tuned for part 2. Thank you for watching Cold Case Secrets.